Welcome to my presentation about marine fish stocks by Sisipho Sinovio Mlungeni. My student number is 3745916. This is ESS 211, Tutorial 8, Introduction to Externality Debates. I will be speaking about tragedy of the commons, externalities, the cause theorem, and bycatch. So this is the table of contents, which includes all the topics that I will be speaking about. So what does the tragedy of the commons mean? It is a situation in a shared resource system where individual users acting independently, according to their own self-interest, behave contrary to the common good of all users by depleting or spoiling that resource through collective action. For example, the main idea of tragedy of the commons is that it is an economic problem in which every individual tries to reap the greatest benefit from a given resource. As the demand for the resource overwhelms the supply, every individual who consumes an additional unit directly harms others who can no longer enjoy the benefits. Common resources is a resource such as water or pastures that provides users with tangible benefits. So, for example, what is excludable? The difference between excludable and non-excludable goods is that a good or a service is called excludable if it is possible to prevent people who have not paid for it from having access to it. Non-excludable is when a good or a service, if non-paying people, cannot be prevented from accessing it. And for example, excludable rival private goods is a house, and non-excludable rival common resource is fishing grounds and water. And excludable non-rival club goods is a private parks and cinemas. And non-excludable public goods is air and national defense force. Since we have spoken about the tragedy of the commons, we have problems, solutions, or policies. So the problem is, it happens when people exploit a shared resource, and it also is an exhaustion of non-renewable resources. The solutions or policies. The solutions to these problems could be property rights and fewer resources needed, and fishing people should follow the rules of their property rights, and people who overfish could be given a fine. Tragedy of the commons continued. Since we said before, these are some of the problems and solutions or policies. So the property rights are incomplete and access to a resource is open, and we also have over exploitation, which means that when people go fishing, they usually take more than what they need, and then that means some fishes die or they are just waste. And the solutions or policies have three approaches, which is command and control, cultural norms, and creating property rights. These solutions could be used in order for us to reduce the number of tragedy of the commons that is happening, which is overexploitation of the fishes in the sea. These are some of the solutions to the tragedy of the commons, and one of them is the New Zealand individual transferable quotas. And the next one is fisherman owns a right to a certain amount of fish per year. So which means, for example, if a fisherman is told that they can only fish 2,000 fishes per year, they need to follow those rules and not go over that amount. And for example, if they do, they might be fined or they will not be able to fish again. So if the fishermen follow those rules, the fishing stock increases and reproduces, which means that it will give time for the fishes to reproduce, and they will have more fish to fish for the coming year. Externalities is the cost or benefit that affects a party who did not choose to incur that cost or benefit. Externalities often occur when a product or service price equilibrium cannot reflect the true cost and benefits of that product or service. For example, private cost. These are costs paid by consumer or producer. And we also have the external cost, which is paid by bystanders. And we also have social cost, which is cost to everyone. Social surplus is consumer surplus, producer surplus, and bystander surplus. The Coase theorem is a legal and economic theory that affirms that where there are complete competitive markets with no transaction cost, an efficient set of inputs and outputs to and from production, optimal distribution are selected regardless of how property rights are divided. And the examples are economic efficiency, outcome in the presence of externalities, no transaction cost, and competitive markets. Bycatch is when you're fishing and a fish or other marine species that is caught unintentionally while catching a certain target species and target sizes of fish or crabs. It is unwanted fish and other marine creature trapped by commercial fishing nets. And when that happens, you have to return the fish into the sea, and that fish might die or get sick because it has been out of the water, or the creature is trapped and it can't be taken away from the commercial fishing net. Some of the examples and causes of bycatching is going fishing, hoping to find a specific fish, and the wrong fish is caught and it becomes a problem as these fishes either die or they're dying. And it also becomes waste, and it is also overfishing. This is the status of global fish stocks in 2008, which has a pie chart, and 1% recovering from depletion, 3% underexploited, 3% depletion, and 12% moderately exploited, and 28% is overfishing, and 53% is fully fished. This is FAO World Review Fisheries and Aquaculture 2010. This is a graph which represents commercially harvested global marine stocks from 1970 to 2008. So from the year 1970 to 2008, the dark blue line represents under and moderately exploited, which was high in the 1970s, and it went down from there until 2008. It has went down. And the other blue, which is fully exploited, from the year 1970, it has been the same amount. From the 1970, it hasn't been going down or going up. It has been the same amount, and some of the years it has been going up and down, but it has been on the same line since. And the light blue line, which is overexploited, depleted, and recovering, from the year 1970, it started on a low, and it has been going up ever since until the year 2008. And it's a FAO World Review Fisheries and Aquaculture 2010. This is the reference list of my presentation. If, for example, you would like to get more information about the presentation that I've just given you, and if you would like to just see where I got most of my information for the presentation. Thank you for watching my presentation, and I hope you enjoyed and you learned something new.